it's something for me about being alone and smoking it, and then kind of going to that introvert thing you're talking about, and just whatever, like
Yeah.
on one side it's like I'm good because I'm high, and it's like you step out like you're not good, that's not good, you don't want to do that, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Dude, and I've seen it affect other people, but it affected me, dude. Like it's, I've always been like an outgoing person. I mean, I was the guy in high school that, people voted most friendly and shit. Like I love people. Like it's just who I
yeah,
am. Like it's not me being a kiss ass or anything. I like learning about different walks of life and different
yeah,
perspectives. And I go from that to fucking, I want to stay inside this weekend. I want to avoid going out with
yeah,
friends in this social environment, whether it's like boating or something. Like I'll just
yeah,
smoke
you
and just
really got to pull me out. Yeah, that's a good point. You
yeah.
really got to pull me out of the house, dude. Sorry, I'm like trying to figure out how to do this shit. Is it doing it? Okay. Yeah. Hopefully it will go without too many hiccups, because I'm switching back and forth between how I'm doing this. I've done two. This will be my second one with Google, and my first, or I've done one with Zoom, and this is my second one with Google. So here we go.
Man.
So we're gonna flow right now. I'm sorry. It's fucked up, man. Like in my head, I'm like thinking, am I gonna include that in the podcast? I don't know. We'll see. Anyhow, for my people that are here with us today on this spiritual podcast with my brother Nathan Gould. Is it Gould?
Yes, sir. Nice to be here.
Gould. Awesome, man. So Nathan is someone that I met in the mortgage industry, which we both hate, because it's a soul-sucking form or way to make employment, which I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with. But we became like pretty good friends because we discovered that we both were into that spiritual stuff, So I'm gonna open the floor, and again, I know I've already said this before we even started. Like, I don't want to come across as like an interview dude, but then sometimes it sounds like that. But it's all open floor shit. But on that note, spiritual stuff, Nathan, for me and my people, what was your first experience? And then this shit will just fucking take us wherever we go. What was your first experience, like, with either the supernatural or feeling the spirit inside of you, whatever. So it's spiritual experience, however you want to quantify it, wherever that's taking you, lay it on me.
Yeah. So, God, how old are you in kindergarten?
How old? What? Oh.
Like, what are you?
I'm like, what? Like 6.
Are you like 5?
Right? 5 or 6?
5 or 6, I think.
Yeah.
So there was a time I didn't really understand it, but I was like, laying in bed, and then I thought it, like, at the time I thought it was like a dream, but I'd actually like hopped out of my body.
Mm-hmm.
And just like I looked around, like everything was like very vivid, like the colors were like really vivid. And I just kind of like walked through the house at night, and then just like kind of walked back to my body, and then just like went back into whatever the sleep state. And it's like, 25 years later, I realized that like I'm reading about these people with these experiences of like astral projection and kind of like leaving their body and traveling around, so to speak. And if it never happened to me at a young age, I would have never believed it. So that was like the first like kind of spiritual experience, so to speak. And like at the time, I didn't know what it meant. I was just like, oh, I just had a dream. Like, you're just a kid, you know what I mean? And then
so it was like a super vivid dream.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Really, really vivid shit.
Yes, and it's
like, do you still remember it to this day? Like, can you kind of picture the dream today?
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. I can remember like stepping, like basically like sitting up, and my body's like behind. I didn't know it was like behind me. I just sat up to like get out of bed, and I turned around and I was like laying there.
Yeah.
So it was just like, it was like really wild. It was just like a bizarre thing. And I didn't really know, I just thought like, okay, I'm just like, I don't really know what I thought. I thought maybe I was just dreaming. Like, it's not like, I didn't know that was like a thing. You know what I mean? So that
Yeah.
was like my first, like at a young age, that was, it was like the first time I had something kind of like supernatural. But I like I said, I didn't know that at the time. And then looking back, I read about people talking about astral projection and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Like, how did I do this at 5? You know what I mean? It was like,
yeah. So, like from then till now, have you had anything similar like that in the dream world?
yeah, I've had a time. I had a time in meditation, and I'm still like kind of working on this, getting into this state. But I had a time where I was meditating like really, really deep, and all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, like I'm in meditation, and then I just open my eyes and I'm like out in the space, like I'm out in outer space. It was just like the most bizarre thing, and I was like,
Were you
just
tired? I'm sorry, I don't mean. Were you tired?
No, I mean,
Like,
I
how
was
were you going into the meditative state?
like, how did I?
No, how were you? Were you in a normal, like, alert state of mind, and then you went to meditate? Like, I'm sorry, I'm
Yeah.
probing.
No, you're good, man. I think I was like, I'm trying to remember. I don't. I mean, I think I was very, very relaxed,
Yeah.
not like tired, as in a sense of like I was about to pass out. 'Cause I was like actually sitting up,
Yeah.
and then so I'm just like, I just out of nowhere, I was just like imagining and visualizing myself like in space. I'm just fascinated with outer space, and then I look around, I'm just like floating. You're just like kind of like hovering. And I see like these purples and blues in the galaxy, and I was like, I don't know if this is a lucid dream. Like, it was just really. That was the second time that happened to me. It was really weird. And then I was like, whoa, I'm just gonna be honest. It's kind of funny, but I was like, I think I'm like projecting, and I was just like, I wanted to go somewhere else. And the first thing that I thought of was, ironically, was just a strip club. I was like, and I don't even like strip clubs. Like, I think they're like, it's not even like a place I enjoy to be. But I was just like, I don't know, this is the first thing that came to my mind. And like, dude, out of nowhere, I'm just boom, and I'm in a strip club, and like people were just walking by me, and nobody noticed me.
How old were you?
This time I was like, it was only a few years ago. I was probably like 29, 28.
So tell me about now I am curious, like, how did you go into that meditative state? What was like deep breathing? Were you using guided headphone shit? Like, what was it? What was the setting?
Dude, so that's what I'm still really trying to get like back to, because I've only been able to do it one time.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I had headphones in. I was listening to like binaural beats, just to help me kind of get in the trance, and then just like real concentrated breathing, just like inhale. I think it was like.
But you've recreated that setting and that manner of meditation in other times, but have never gotten the same result. That's what
exactly. Like, it's like someone described it to me like, just, it's like jumping into a pool. You just like, you don't think, you just do it, and like for some reason, I haven't been able to do it like very easily, and that's something I'm like still kind of working on. Like, it was just like that day, I was just like, I think it was the music and the mental state. I was really calm. I meditated for like a while, and then just like boom, I was like, it was like in a flash.
So you think also you've had other times past that where you've meditated for the same length of time too? Like, it wasn't a matter of the fact that you had done it for a longer period of time. So you've really tried to recreate it. So I think I've heard this before. Actually, I have a buddy of mine named Jack. I don't know if he still watches my stuff or not. If he does, what's up, Jack? He's also like a really cool spiritual dude or whatever. I'd love to talk to him at some point on here as well. But he's talked about going to places like that too. And if I remember correctly, it's like not something he ever has been able to control, but it's like he'll do the same practices, the same general steps to get, but then it's like sometimes the universe is like, all right, dog, you coming in the club, and then other times he's like nowhere to be found,
Yeah, I would agree with him, man. And I am, I've read these stories, I've dove down like the wormhole, and I've kind of like heard people talk about doing this and that, and it's just like, was always just fascinated with it. I was like, is this
Mhm.
real? Like, is this just a bunch of like BS to get like clicks or you know what I mean, or views, or is this like a real thing? I gotta figure it out myself. And
Yeah.
like the more I kind of really search, the more of these kind of uh, bizarre things, if you want to call it that, just happen, and it's like really fascinating to me.
Yeah. What would you say your definition of a spiritual awakening is?
I think that's such a great question.
Or what does it mean to, because I mean, in reality, I feel like there's some commonalities across the board with people that go through them, but everybody's experience of it could be described differently, right? Because it's like
Yeah,
we're all painting our own picture or whatever. So I guess more so like where you're at in yours, and how would you describe your spiritual awakening?
I would say I think like uh, I refer to it as like the universe or God, but some people call it Allah, whatever it is, like the creator, the higher being.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's just kind of coming to realization that like we are always surrounded by and connected to and like one with this higher power, and like it's love, and it's all around us, and like there have been times where like in my belief you can feel that presence. It's like I felt like my body just get like overwhelmed with emotion, like I get like goosebumps, and you almost feel like you're like vibrating, and it's like like even my eyes are like tearing up and shit. Like really the times have been really deep meditation, you can just kind of like feel that presence around you, and you're just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's like an overwhelming like gratitude, like oh like God is right here, he's
Yeah.
always around, and it's really cool. So I think it's just like to me, like spiritual awakening is just realizing that like you're always connected to source, and like it's all around you, and you have everything you need. Like and
Yeah.
that's really just like that connection, I think is.
Do you I mean, obviously, like when you meditate, you're leaning in. What about in your waking states, right? Like if you're on your bike going for a ride, going for a walk in nature, you're not meditating, you're cognizant of your surroundings, etc. But then
Yeah,
some kind of a narrative to the universe, conversation with it in that state, and then getting the tinglies, that's what
yeah,
I call
yeah,
them. When you do it, you're like, oh, you talking. I hear you talking.
yeah, yeah. That's it, dude. Yeah, I feel the same. I so one of my favorite things to do. I'm so glad you brought that up. Is to just walk with nature. I mean, I have I live right by the Whedon Nature Preserve, so there's like nature walks and stuff, and I think like just being out in the woods is like it is very like you just feel like a real connected state. Just like being
Hmm.
near the ocean, I love. I mean, I think that you can just kind of like feel that,
Hmm.
and like the wake thing. I mean, for me, I'm learning to kind of like quiet the mind. I
Hmm.
always have like I'm always listening to music, and I'm always like distracted. I'm always being like basically like, mentally like stimulated by some form of like electronic or whatever the case is,
Yeah.
and like to just be out there and just quiet the mind. I find that like excuse me, I get like a lot of clarity.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you
Thought
get
was
the
abundant.
downloads. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that. Yes, dude. And the thought, like I have mentors that have really helped me to grow spiritually, and like some of them can actually like hear an audible voice, and for me,
Right.
I'll just get a thought, and it'll just like shoot in my head like a lightning bolt, and I just know it's like God talking to me. It's like I don't hear
Yeah.
a voice,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
So for me, I've my spiritual awakening journey has been it's been slow. And I realize now, like when I first started leaning in, and I'm like, okay, we're going in here, apparently. This is where we're going. And it
Yeah,
was almost like it was like a conscious decision of like, all right, I give up. I give up with the 3D world. I understand that there's somewhere else. I'm cool to come hang out with you guys, but let's take it slow, right?
yeah,
I've said that a few times, like when I'm by myself in nature, or whatever, and like, hey guys, like, or girl, or whoever I'm talking to. So it depends on what I'm talking to at the moment, but you're talking to something out there, right? And it's like, listen, I'm cool with this shit, but let's take it slow, because I don't want to like just wake up in the middle of the night and see a spirit at the foot of my bed or whatever. I think I said that on my last podcast too, right? So, and I may have mentioned this too, but I wasn't talking to you. So, what recently, like things have been really starting to change in my world, and it's a lot of like self discovery and like aha moments and like, oh fuck, now I get it kind of stuff. And then there's synchronicities that come with that, right? Which we can talk about synchronicities too. But like what I do is now is like whenever I take a shower, the last 30 seconds of it, that's my cold plunge, right? I just go straight cold. And in that time period, I'm doing like positive affirmations, I'm doing gratitude and stuff like that, and just getting like, amped up, so to speak. And one of the recent showers I did, I was like, and then I started kind of talking to spirit, and I was like, all right, maybe we can speed it up a little bit. You can speed it up a little bit. I'm enjoying this. This is cool. Not too fast, but just speed it up a little bit. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to do. It's like that kind of thing, like a state of surrender almost. But I don't know. Like for you, do you feel like you asked in some form? Was there a point in your existence where you were talking to God or spirit and saying like, okay, I want to go in the door, or was it more like the door was just kind of like always there, sort of thing? I mean, I think the door's always there, right? Like the door's obviously always been there, sort of thing. But I feel like different people get into the road either by reaching a point in their life where they're like, fuck, and you kind of like scream to the universe, like, what the fuck,
Yeah.
Whereas others have kind of like been raised with it in some form. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. That's a great question. I would say like, so I've always been like kind of searching, and I really, I don't think it's just a quote. I mean, I really believe like when you seek, the truth will find you.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this experience that was just the first like really crazy thing that's happened to me was I went to spring break when I was a freshman in college. So, I went with a buddy of mine, and then we met a friend down there. And like my friend that we were meeting down there, he's like, yeah, I have two other buddies. We're all going to split the room. Like we're a bunch of broke college kids. So like every dollar counts, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're living on like whatever's left over from your student loans. Like it's like, so we're barely scraping by, but we just really wanted this experience. We went on spring break, and like, we get down there and like everything on the trip goes wrong. Like you can imagine, like 3 of the people don't even show up, just ditch us. Like we don't have enough for the week. I just drove across the country. Like it's just like every single thing that could go wrong. And I'm getting like more and more stressed, and like these signs are kind of like popping out at me. Like I go to pay for the 3 days of the room, and the lady behind the counter is like, she's like this Southern woman, and she's just like the sweetest, kindest lady. She's like, oh, darling, you got to not be so stressed, and you just got to ask God for it. And I was so arrogant at the time. I was like, God is not going to make money just appear in my account. Like we don't have enough. This is what I said to this lady, dude.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
right when I said that, just being this like arrogant, naive kid, right when I said that, my phone rings and I answer it. And my like literally within like seconds, and my mom is like, hey, honey, you just got this check from Macomb, which is a community college I went to. And she's like, it's like a refund check. And I'm thinking, I haven't gone there in like 2 years. Like, why would they send me this now?
Yeah.
And she's like, do you want me to deposit it? And I was like, yes. Like, I'm broke. Like, yes, please, So it's like, wait a minute. Like, money did really just appear. So that was kind of weird. And then I had like a bunch of other little weird experiences along the trip. But there was one that really stood out to me. There's this guy that's walking. We're on the beach, and he's walking through. Like I see him in the distance, and he's got like a bucket hat on. He has like long brown hair. I can remember him vividly, dude. He has this lime green shirt that says like I agree with John 3:16. He's wearing like cargo shorts and he's barefoot, and he's walking through, and he has a stick. Which I'm looking at this guy, and I was just like playing like beer pong or whatever I was doing. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, oh, it's a weird outfit to wear to like a piece like PCV, like a college spring break. And he walks through the crowd, and I'm just kind of like staring at him, and I'm just like observing him. And then I like forget about him. And then when I, go back to my game, when I turn around, he's like right in front of my face. And the thing that caught my eye was his eyes were huge. They were like really big and black. He had like no color in his eye, and I felt like this dude could like see through my soul. Like it was like I was super intimidated.
Yeah.
And he's like, come on over here and have a seat. And I'm like,
what
does that mean? Like, Like, what is this? You know what I
Kill
mean?
him, crackhead.
It's like have a seat. So we walk like away from the beer pong table and sit on the ground. And he takes this stick. He's like still like holding it up as we're sitting, and he draws like 2 circles. And he's like, "This is your life right now." And he puts like a little mark in this one circle. And he's like, "This is your life with God." And he's looking me like dead in the eyes, dude. I feel like he just sees through my soul. And he's just like, God is trying to build a relationship with you, and you're being stubborn and you won't let him. And I was just like, shook. I was like, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
And he's just like, "Are you ready to build a relationship with God? Yes or no?" And I was like, "Yes." And he just puts his hand on my shoulder and he's like, "Pray with me." And I didn't know the prayer, but I just like closed my eyes and did, listened to him. And then the weirdest thing, he said, I must be on my way now, which I think is a weird way to like exit a conversation. And, and I'm watching him walk away, and I turned to grab my friend Tobias. And I'm like, "Did you meet this guy?" Because my buddy had been talking about God and stuff. And when I turned around, dude, he was gone. So then I was like, dude, I am like tripping out. Like, what is in this beer? I've been drugged. Like, I'm freaking out, dude. Like, I've never seen a human being vanish in front of my eyes. Like, there was only like 10 of us on the beach because it was like in the afternoon, and everyone goes back to hotels to get ready. So I'm like, what is going on? Like, this is insane. And then I was like, did you guys see this guy? Like, did you guys see him? And they're like, yeah, the guy with the green shirt. I'm like, so he's real. Like, I'm like losing it. I'm like, did he talk to you? I'm going around to like random people at our beer pong table. Like, did he talk to you? Did he talk to you? And everyone's like, no, dude, he just sat with you and left. Like, he didn't leave. He vanished. And they're like, dude, you're really drunk. I'm like, I'm not drunk, dude. Like, I know what I saw. And like, my buddy even got a picture of us like sitting down together. So like, I know what I saw, but it was that was like, at that moment, I was like, okay, like you got my attention. And that kind of like,
that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. Like, if someone told me the story, I would never believe it, but it happened to me. So I'm like, well, that was like, so yeah. So a long way to answer your question, like I was like ready for it, but I just didn't know it was going to hit me like a brick wall. I was like,
whoa. Yeah. You had some nudges, along the way. That's for sure. I don't think I really had. I mean, maybe I did have nudges, and I was just like so fucking stoned I couldn't see them. You know what I'm saying? That's possible. I remember when I was a kid, like my mom was gone like way longer than she was supposed to, and it was raining. And as a kid, I used to believe that I could do a rain dance and like put wishes in the universe. I don't know where the fuck I got that from. And this is some shit I hadn't talked about in like forever, but it just brought the memory back. But I remember she was gone and was gone longer than she should have been, and it was raining. So I started doing a rain dance, and I was like, just give me a sign that she's okay, blah, 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 this and that, whatever. And wherever she was, like she called the house like 5 minutes later, was like, hey, just want you to know I'll be back here in a little bit. And I was like, okay, good, mom's fine. You know what I'm saying? But that, whatever, that could be, and honestly, like that was making me think about synchronicities too, right? And like there's obviously like numbers and stuff, which I've been seeing like crazy synchronization of numbers recently, but which I know you did too with the 444. And the old self, the old egoic self, that which I'm dissolving but not getting rid of, would look at synchronizations and just be like, yeah, man, well, that's just fucking science. Like shit's gonna happen in weird places, et cetera, or not weird places, but things happen in the universe. You happen to show up when this person, et cetera, blah, 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 who gives a fuck kind of thing. And that's the way I used to be, right? But the more that I've gone down my path, the more it's my belief that I'm adopting. And I was curious your take on this, that, at a bird's eye view, like we are in the most beautiful orchestrated symphony of cosmic proportions that we can't conceive to understand even the beauty of it. Our version of beauty is purely based off of conditioned thoughts and programmed shit that we grew up in. You think about when you were a kid and you were having a tea party with someone that wasn't there, but to you, that motherfucker was there, et cetera, et cetera. So my thing with synchronizations is, why can't we all be in our own cosmic movie, right? Like the traditional movie in Hollywood, there's one dude supporting actors. What if you're in your cosmic movie, I'm in mine. We're all in our own. Every fucking last one of us, right? And who are we to say that because of our base understanding of science, we can't, or the world, we can't see how maybe it could be that beautiful that those three birds that flew by was a sign for you. Maybe it could be. To another
Yeah.
person, oh, it's just fucking three birds, whatever. I'm getting the tinglies when I say this shit. But who are we with our inflated fucking egos to be like, well, there's no way that's possible because, you know, science and birds fly everywhere. Well, all right, well, that doesn't mean that it's not divine. We don't even understand divine.
Right.
You know, all we can do is just see that there's beauty there. And it's like the more you acknowledge and give faith and love to the beauty, the more beautiful things get.
I 100% agree, dude. 100%. And I think when you really start to open your mind and not have this closed off belief system that you were programmed to have, that's when you really notice the miracles around you. And you're like,
right,
holy shit. Like, and trust me, I'm not the most, I mean, especially along this journey, I'm one that tries to like disprove things before you know what I mean? Like, I'm not just like naive person that thinks everything is like a sign, but after a while, and you start to really notice a lot of coincidences, like it just becomes harder and harder to like dismiss things. It's like, this is really wild. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you feel it too. It's like that gut intuition, the same thing as like, I forget if you play poker or no?
Oh, my uncle's a professional poker player, and I don't know how to play poker. I don't know how that happened.
All right. Well, then you're familiar with the general whatever, right? And like, and it's in life too. You know, you're meeting someone, it's a client or it's a person that you're interviewing with, or they're interviewing you, whatever. You get that gut feeling like really quickly about the scenario, about the person, etc. And you know, they always say go with your gut first and stuff like that. And like, obviously, a lot of the yogi people and the gurus and everything will tell you, well, yeah, that's your fucking higher spirit nudging you, man. You know, it's like you got to learn to listen and tap in and sort of things. It's been a slow process for me, man. I mean, it's not quick. And again, I said that shit to the spirits. I was like, let's take it slow. So it's like they're doing what I asked them to do, I guess. But I wouldn't trade this journey of awakening and inner healing for anything, though, because it makes life worth living, you know. And that takes me back to like the weed thing. Like when I was smoking weed every day, just fucking sun up to sun down, just a shell of a person because I didn't have anything to believe in, you know. I mean, it was like there was a cloud of, okay, yeah, I mean, I get that God, some kind of God exists and karma's real and blah blah blah, but like that's like such a surface understanding or attachment or whatever the fuck, right, to it.
Yeah.
And you couple that with being a little lost from your programming of your childhood, and then you just fucking get high every second of the day, and it's like you just turn into this meh, you know.
Yeah, I've been there. I mean, I was more of a midnight smoker, but man, like, you know, I feel like I did it more when I was out living out in West because it was just, you know, more acceptable. But like when I finally just said, hey, I don't want to smoke anymore, like I underestimated the amount of clarity I would get.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, I had this fog over me and I didn't even know it because, you know, you just became the norm. I'm like, it's just smoking at night. Like I have a stressful day. I'm stressed out. It's not a big deal. But dude, the clarity that I have now, I don't want to give it up. Like I can just I can see things. I feel like I'm more social again. Like, you know, everyone has their own experience. I'm sure you can relate some things I'm saying, but it's like, I feel like I have a better understanding and I feel like I just want to stay in this state. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like waking up to a vivid dream.
Yeah.
It's like waking up to a vivid dream that has cosmic meaning almost in a sense, you know? But I think, and I experienced that when I quit weed the first time, because it's been a couple times, but the first few times I quit, it never stuck. And now that I actually have a grip on the relationship to weed and like I'm confident in that, the difference is that I went through the healing, the inner healing that I needed to do. And there's still a lot more of that to do. But the point is that I began the process and I've dug deep and I've worked on like my relationship with myself and et cetera. And it's like all of a sudden now I get it and I'm on the path. But when I first was trying to quit weed, it wouldn't stick. But it doesn't mean I didn't get the clarity. Like I did get the clarity from it. And even then it was like, oh shit, this world's pretty fucking awesome without weed, even without like being on a spiritual journey. But then when I got like negative emotions in my world based on the people or the job or the whatever the fuck's catalyst it was, and then okay, I'll smoke, and then all of a sudden you're fucking right back in it because I didn't have a belief structure. I didn't have faith in anything. You know what I mean? Definitely not myself,
Yeah, and I think that's part of the journey too, is like learning just that, you are an embodiment of God, and just like love yourself, man. Like I think we fall like into this habit or this trap of like the art of comparison, right? You're like looking around and you're like, you're always going to know someone that you might think is doing better, or you might judge yourself based on someone else, but like you're the only one who's walked your path.
Right.
So there's really no comparison you can really make. Like nobody has been through whatever you've been through. You know, like you are your own embodiment of God. Like you are on your own journey. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful journey when you look at it like that. Like even the bad times are beautiful,
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, when you step out, then you always have. See, the thing is, it's different. Like from doing this form of content versus TikTok, right? If I was to make that into like a quick little TikTok video, then I'd have like comments upon comments. Well, yeah, but what about blah 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 blah? You know what I'm saying? But it's like I feel like anybody that's watching this podcast that's made it this far, they're with us. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you kind of get into like a safe space where it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and even if they're not with us, they can take that thought in and be like, okay, I don't know, maybe, but they're not gonna get pissed. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, you see it when you start going, and I know that you're on the precipice of diving into that journey too. Like, be prepared because you get some hate in those comments, man.
I know. I would have did a lot sooner, but I really had to like make sure I had like really loved myself unconditionally, because I like, you put a target on your back. I mean, there's always someone who disagrees.
Yeah. And I was still working on, and obviously I am still working on my self-love and everything, but really still working on it when I first, like my first couple videos took off, and I would get affected by like certain comments, and just get like kind of go into like a shell kind of thing. And then, you want to get on and respond, but you know what I'm saying? Like go into that state or whatever. And now it's like, there's a little bit, certain comments will trigger that, but then it's like I'm reminding myself, it's like becoming my own counsel and remembering to counsel myself in each individual moment that pops up as much as possible, right? And so when the negative state comes up for whatever reason, then actually looking at the thought and being like, nah, that's just a thought. That ain't nothing, When I used to hear be the watcher of your thoughts, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, But now it's like, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now,
Yeah, it's like, you're kind of like, like you said, you're just like, you're understanding yourself more.
Yeah, exactly. So we can go anywhere, but now people have gotten to know Nathan a little bit now, and it's like, we gotta, if you're coming into the squad, man, you're coming into the soul family here, because I feel like anybody that comes in onto my StilleCast, as I call it, you're part of the family. So I'm sure people probably want to know a little bit about your story, right? So and obviously like your occupation, your career doesn't mean necessarily who you are, but maybe you could talk a little bit about like what you're doing for work and what your direction is, like where are you headed?
Yeah, man. So I am working right now in tech. I have my own small business, so we're doing consulting, and it's been fun. Being a business owner has been quite the journey, but I'm actually doing like a coaching program. I'm always trying to kind of, just like you, man, better ourselves. And this particular program is, I had a moment where it's like kind of teaching me about my values. And like, it was weird, man. I've been chasing money for so long. And then when I finally started to make some money, I realized it was like depressing, because I was like, wow, this didn't really bring me the happiness I thought. So, now I'm learning my values, and I'm trying to, kind of get into the personal growth, spiritual growth space like yourself, and just get you know, a YouTube channel slowly going, start to add some content, just try to basically be a contribution to the world and just be like a light to help others see their own light within them. And yeah, I'm just really excited, man. This is like you know, this is actually the first podcast I've been on, so it's cool to start with someone who's inspired me is like really cool.
Fuck yeah, man. Well, shit, dude, you've been
You know?
inspiration to me too, man. I was gonna say, like, I'm actually really, really blessed with the first few guests that I've had, and I've got like a few more that are relatively lined up behind, two, I think, maybe three. And I'm excited about all of them, but like especially the first three, like I'm just like beyond blessed to have you and the other two. Like it's awesome. It makes me feel at home doing this stuff. Like I've always known that I wanted to do a podcast before, but it's like sometimes you just got to start do it. You know, in the words of Gary V, you know, don't focus on creating, focus on documenting. Like let's just fucking hit record and see what happens. We can always go back and edit out the bullshit or whatever. But you which I don't mean that. I mean like with regular videos, right? If you shoot a YouTube, you can go and cut it out. With a podcast, it's like you just gotta let that shit go. Like you play the whole fucking thing. You know what I'm saying? But with you now, you also want to like do like a podcast too, right? Didn't you say you wanted to do some shit like that?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm the YouTube channel. I want to basically, you know, record videos, just share some of my experiences that I've had, and you know, hopefully be able to resonate and help others. But the podcast too, man. I mean, really like any outlet like this next chapter, I just want to focus on like how can I, you know, be fulfilled and just try to share and help others the way that a lot of people, such as even yourself, have helped me. You know, I think it's like, the more I feel like God helps those who help themselves. You know, somebody say it to me all the time. And yeah, man. So it's exciting. It's an exciting journey. Step out of my comfort zone and just be like, you know, hey,
yeah,
it's like Gary V said, or you know, another guy I follow. He used to say, "Perfection is paralysis." Like just do it. And
just
I'm like,
fucking
okay,
do it.
yeah, you know.
Yeah. There's a guy that I follow, or a channel called Think Media. I don't know if you've seen them or not. They have a YouTube channel where they basically go over like a bunch of stuff relative to creators and everything like that. But he did one video where it was talking about the same stuff. He's like, whatever you have doesn't matter, just get started. He goes, for an example, I'm going to show you my first video. You know, you can imagine this guy, he's one of those dudes that's like super polished, the camera angle, like everything's fucking perfect, you know. And you see his first video and he's got like these headphones on, the lighting's all dim, and he's like, so, you know, this over here is what this is, and blah, 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 you know. And it's like, that's not the same fucking person. There's no way it's the same person, you know. And then also, I was going to say, the reality is like, you know, that's the lack mentality too, which I know you're familiar with, in terms of like the thought process of, and I've been, my personal journey, I've been in that lack state, thinking about creating content, becoming a life coach, et cetera, like, the lack thoughts of, well, you know, I don't know, man. There's so many people that are already doing it, and you know, why would they want to listen to me, and blah blah blah. All these negative, intrusive thoughts, and like the further I started going down the farther I go on the spiritual journey, it's like you begin to make more peace with it, and realize as you make peace, you realize, dude, there's fucking room for all of us, especially in this world of internet. And over 7 billion people, you know, I've got people that have already reached out to me about my coaching program that are out of the country. No, they're in UK. 2 of them are in UK, I think it is. You know, and I've got people that comment from all over the world, dude. So it's like, and they have technology now. You just have to adjust like what the payment is for the fees and everything, et cetera. But you can figure that shit out. Who gives a fuck? The point is just like, and really, it's not even that either. Like it's getting the message out. Like that's part of it. That comes, you know, inevitably if you want it to come. But like you said, just sharing, each of us, we can all, if you're comfortable with being on the camera, and even if not, there are ways to go viral on TikTok now with never showing your face. You know what I mean? And spreading a message. So it's like if you have a message and it's something that can be benefited by others, let's fucking get it out there. You know what I'm saying? Right. Because God bless, you don't want to fucking watch the news. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. I feel the same way. And I think for me, I could be wrong, but I believe it was like more of like the ego. Like, well, if it's not good, then like a lot of people won't watch it. And, you know, people will think it sucks, et cetera, et cetera. But like, if I really take the ego out of it, it's like, well, fuck who watches it. I just need one person to say I help them, and I like, what is the value of that?
That's
Like,
it.
you know what I mean? Like, if one dude is like, Nate, I watched your podcast with Phil, and it was awesome, and like some things you resonate with me. I'm starting my spiritual journey, whatever it is, and it's like,
Hmm.
that's fucking awesome, dude. Congrats! Like, I'm happy. Like, I have fulfillment and purpose
Yeah,
in receiving that message. Like,
that's all it
and
takes.
I'm like learning to kill the ego, like pull that shit out of me, and just say like, fuck, if I have 3 followers, there's 3 people I'm gonna help. Like, who
Yeah,
cares? You know what I
yeah,
mean? And it's been like a struggle, but I'm
yeah.
growing as a man. I feel like to say like, you know.
Well, I don't know if you've gone back on my TikTok like to the first few videos or not. Some people have, but like I've got some videos on there. Some of them I was just dicking around, like trying to be funny. It wasn't even relative to anything I'm doing now. And then when I first started doing my videos, I've been doing it on YouTube, but doing it on TikTok's like a whole different beast. When I first started doing those videos, and I hadn't really figured out exactly how to, trick the algorithm, so to speak, and make it go a little bit further. There's videos on there where if you go watch them, it's like the old version of myself would be like, dude, that's terrible. Why is that online? Why'd you even leave it on there? Why don't you take it down? But then you find people, like, you'll start looking through your comments, and like you'll see someone comment on like a really fucking old video, and they'll be like, hey man, this is hilarious, or hey man, I like this message here, or whatever. Like, okay, I'm glad I left that up because someone found benefit. And I'm sure someone was finding benefit back then too. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times it's not the comments, right? Like, you may have a video that gets 7,000 views and there's 20 comments or something. It doesn't mean that you didn't touch another fucking 100 or 300 or 400 people. It's just
Right.
they're not people that fucking click comments or buttons. They're just like, watch it and move on. So
Yeah.
I think you should totally, because you have what it takes, man. And we talked about this the other day. We're in a window now where you can get massive growth on TikTok, but there's no telling how long that window is going to be open.
Yeah. Thank you, man. I had an experience. I would record like these, little morning videos and stuff when Snapchat was like first starting to blow up. And, of course, like you said earlier, man, you always have like the hater or someone out there that just has something negative to say, and
Yeah.
I would get some messages here and there like, oh, this is like, why do you record so much? Like, this is so long, or like, etc. And I just kind of like ignored it. And I just was like, hey, man, my attitude was like, if I can help one person, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
who cares how I look to the rest of the world, right? So like, I eventually kind of like, I don't know why, I just kind of let them dwindle me away from doing that and posting as much. And I really regret this because like, we'll say 8 years later, I was out at a gathering, in like, this like festival downtown where I lived. And, we're just having a beer, whatever. And this kid that I went to high school with comes up to me and he's just like, hey, Nate, I want to thank you so much. He starts like, his eyes get all emotional and he looks like he's about to cry. And I was just like, what? Like, I kind of knew him from high school, but we weren't like best friends, more like acquaintances. And I'm like, what do you want to think? Like, I'm just kind of like trying to process what he's about to say, and he's like, I used to follow you a lot on Snapchat, and you posted this, this, and this. And I remember the exact post. I remember the video like vividly. And he's like, I actually like just graduated college at the time. I was really struggling to find a job. Like, I was having issues with my parents. It made me feel like a failure. And I had planned out my entire suicide. And he's like, because of that video, I didn't do it. And I mean, he started to like graphically tell me the detail. And like that kid said that I saved his life, but like the truth is he also changed mine.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wow, like, I mean, I got some feedback here and there, but I didn't think anyone really cared like that. Like, that is like more impact than I could ever, beyond my wildest dreams. Like, I was like, wow, that just shows how powerful, like, social media can be, and also like your work. That did kind of change me. And now I've been like, kind of had this burning fire in me to
Well,
get back on the street.
hopefully us hanging out today for this gives it a little bit of a boost, man. And if I can be of any help, like with tips and tricks, I mean, I'm not like the fucking end all be all know it all with TikTok. There's a lot of creators out there you can find. I think we talked about before. They'll give you like tips, and some of them like their message or their whatever you may not vibe with, but they do have some good points with like what to make sure you do when you're, trying to go further. And sometimes like I'll upload videos where I don't give a fuck, right? Like I'll upload a video that's 4 minutes long where I just want to say some shit and it's like upload it, who cares? But it's like you want to post one video a day, 6 days a week at least. And you want to try to keep them under 1.5 minutes. Those are like the two most important. And obviously the content that's continuous, and you don't want the times where you're like, like that kind of stuff. If you have that, you cut it out, whatever. We could talk about that more, but if you do that shit, dude, you do that shit daily, and you have like a general thing that is your thing, and you use those same hashtags, and you just fucking keep doing it, you're gonna reach people. And it's like, it may be, I don't know how it's gonna work because I'm not fucking Gary Vee, right? Like he makes predictions on all this shit. He thinks we should be doing YouTube Shorts right now, which I don't know, man. I just can't get on board with it. I've tried them a couple times, but I've almost pissed my viewers off. I think I've had a couple comments like, well, don't do that anymore, because we want the regular shit, But dude, yeah, now's the time, man. It's just, I mean, even if you don't want to get into, because like when I first started doing mine, like I was not getting into exactly where to edit it, what program, etc. I was just recording and uploading shit just to fucking start doing it.
Yeah.
And then once you do that a few times, let's say you did it a few times and you get 200 or 300 views a piece, and you're like 4 or 5 videos in, you're like, why the fuck aren't I getting more? Hey Phil, how do I get more? And I'm like, do this. And you're like, okay. And then boom.
I'm gonna be picking your brain, man. I see your TikTok channel is awesome. You're like the first person I followed, so I'm going through your videos.
Oh, cool.
You're like the only person I see. I'm like, Phil. All right, cool. So
and that's what everybody should strive for on their TikTok feed. All the people. No, I'm just kidding.
Both accounts, dude. I got you.
That's funny. I followed you with both of my accounts, my new one and my old one. That's hilarious. Shit, man. So I guess I just want to touch back on one more thing with the I'll leave you alone with the thing. You'll do it. I know you're gonna do it. Hopefully you'll do it sometime soon. Because I want to start seeing your shit on there too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, thank you, man. I'm gonna give it a shot. Like I said, man, if I can just help one person, I'm happy. But I'm really excited. This is like the most excited I've been about probably anything.
What do you think? You know what? Let's stay here. I'm gonna keep you in the same chair. What do you think? What do you think your direction would be? Like, what is Nate's message? Like, if you could speak to 3 people and leave 3 pieces of advice, like what's your message? What is your channel going to be about? Because I mean, obviously you want to get into coaching and you're a spiritual person and things of that nature, but do you have like a particular direction / niche that's in your mind, or is it more like Nate's thoughts for the day, and then you come on like, today I'm thinking about how everybody should be nice, you know what I'm saying? Which could work. You could totally do that too, And it doesn't matter if you don't have like I'm just curious,
So it kind of, I feel like to be only 31 years old, like I've just had a lot of, life experience. I mean, just from the things I went through as a kid, like being homeless with my family, and the roller coaster ride that I've been through too, even like my adult years. So like I have these people reaching out and calling me, and I'm always trying to help and give advice. And I'm like, wait, what if I could just like record some of these conversations, just broadcast them publicly, and kind of be that vessel, so to speak. So I think like one of my topics is just like basically like your spiritual journey, just connecting with God, because I think that is like often overlooked. And like you said earlier, you don't want to get so engulfed in the 3D realm that you forget the bigger picture. There's something greater than this. This is like this is like we're in the metaverse, like, you know what I mean? Like outside of this, there's something so much bigger and beautiful, and like we need to be reminded of that, not get consumed in like materialism. So that's like one is the spiritual path, and 2 is just like the personal growth path. I feel like there's times in my life where I felt lost. I needed, I went to these speakers, and they really helped me along my journey. Some of the big names, Tony Robbins, and those speak. So I want to be that help to someone else. So that's like the personal path. And then 3, it just like what you said earlier, I really like this, just talking about whatever the fuck's on your mind, dude. It's just
Yeah,
like, I'm fucking
yeah.
thinking about this. Here it is. Let me know what you
That's
guys
it.
think. You know what I mean?
You know, and
Let's
you
be
can
real.
do like you can create something like say it's what if, right? I did one video like this. I started my video with what if blah 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 blah. You know, and it could be something else. But like say Nate is the what if guy, right? And every
Mhm.
video on TikTok starts with what if, and you like whatever your fucking shtick is, right? And then what comes behind that doesn't even fucking matter. You know what I mean? Like in reality, it's going to have a backbone of spirituality. It's going to have a backbone of self growth. But you know what I'm saying? You can almost just be going on your walk and talking to God and nature and the universe, Mother Gaia, and just say, all right, I'm about to shoot my video. What am I going to talk about today? What am I going to talk about today? And you just wait for that download. Boom. Okay, great. Now, how do I pair that with what if, for example, right? You find your fucking whatever your thing is, right? And like, how do I pair that with what if? Oh, perfect. Okay, great. Yeah, awesome. And then you don't even know what the rest of the fucking thing is going to be. You don't even know what the rest of the video, because it doesn't fucking matter, dude. You don't need to know. You know what I'm saying? You just fucking, all right, we're ready. What if, blah, 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 and da for a minute, cut, upload, hashtag, done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, dude, I like the idea. Honestly,
Mhm.
like that might be something I
You
steal
can
from
take the
man.
what if too, dude. I don't give a fuck. We can share it. I've only used it once. But I'm saying
I
like,
like it, man.
my stick is the weed, right? Like that's what has garnered me the infiltration. And you know what? At first I was like, but that's not where I want to be. I want to be in the spiritual world. You know what I'm saying? But then I was like, well, wait a minute, but I'm helping people. I'm helping a shit ton of people like figure out that they can come out of it, you know, and I realized some people medicinal, blah, 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 etc. But I'm helping people with that and I'm reaching people with that. So it's like, all right, well, I'm the quit weed guy, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm the one that's like, check your relationship with weed, right? Like, so that's my shtick. But then behind that is spiritual growth, self-love, and everything. You know what I'm
Your
saying?
foundation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, you actually like were a huge inspiration behind me uh stopping smoking, because I was always like the guy who smoked right at night before bed, and just kind of wind down and have a lot of like anxiety and stress from like work and these
Mm-hmm.
deals, the mortgage business, dude. And like I watched a few of your videos just talking about, all the benefits you've had, and I'm like, I'm gonna try this. And then the better I
Yeah.
started to feel, the more I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Maybe once in a blue moon, but like I like this clarity. I feel happier. I feel like my old self again. I feel
Yeah.
not so introverted where I, don't want to go out and be in social settings, and I just want to
Yeah.
sit at home on the couch and get stoned. Like I feel like
Yeah.
I'm me,
Yes. Yes. Exactly. That's been my experience too. And now that I have a good relationship with it, I've danced with Mother Cannabis a couple times since I think we talked about that already. But the
Yeah.
relationship's totally different. I'm doing it in a celebratory setting, et cetera, et cetera. But there was one time that I had left over from that, and the next morning I did it, and I was by myself, and I did get into like kind of like a negative, vibe a little bit. Like not, and it was not negative, but like a bleh vibe, right? Like, when we're clear minded and we're focusing on the good stuff, you get in that good vibration, like everything is divine, etc. And you tap into that. Like the world is amazing when you really, learn to lasso that, right? But like it's something for me about being alone and smoking it, and then kind of going to that introvert thing you're talking about, and just whatever, like
Yeah.
on one side it's like I'm good because I'm high, and it's like you step out like you're not good, that's not good, you don't want to do that, you know what I'm saying? Like
Dude, and I've seen it affect other people, but it affected me, dude. Like it's I've always been like an outgoing person. I mean, I was the guy in high school that, people voted most friendly and shit. Like I love people. Like it's just who I
yeah,
am. Like it's not me being a kiss ass or anything. I like learning about different walks of life and different
yeah,
perspectives. And I go from that to fucking, I want to stay inside this weekend. I want to avoid going out with
yeah,
friends in this social environment, whether it's like boating or something. Like I'll just
yeah,
smoke
you
and just
really got to pull me out. Yeah, that's a good point. You
yeah,
really got to pull me out of the house, dude, because otherwise it's like, you want to go hang out? I don't know, man, what you talking about? That no, I won't do
yeah.
it.
Or when you do, you like leave early. You're like,
Yeah, I want to
especially
get
when
back
you're
to
in a
my bowl.
relationship.
Yeah, Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
like when you're in a relationship, you're like, you have someone to leave early with, someone you really are like introverted. You're like, no, let's just go home and relax and watch a movie. It's like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, social health is so important. Like we
It's
need to
so
be
important.
like engaged, dude. You know,
Yeah.
we're not meant to be alone all the time. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
No. That's why COVID was such a fucking weird time. But
Yeah, same to me, man. I was definitely like battling with a little bit of depression. I feel like.
yeah. Yeah. Well, shit, man. How long have we been going for? This has been good. We've had some good stuff.
Dude, I didn't even. I don't have a. What I got a clock? Oh, it's been like an hour. It doesn't even feel like it, dude. I can talk to you for.
No,
Like,
I know. Yeah,
you know
yeah.
how we are.
It's good stuff, man. I love it. We got to actually share space soon, but that's the benefit of this world is that like you can like the first two podcasts I did, the one girl is from Canada and the guy's from Hawaii. So like us actually sharing space would be tough. But you and I live like 30 minutes from each other, but at the same time, it's like, let's not like make a big deal on Sunday. Let's just get on the thing. And then, you know, it's fucking 2022.
Dude, we definitely do, man. And I'm, you know, we can make room here. We'll figure it out, dude. I would love to like, we can do in person.
Yeah, we should totally do that. We should do a second podcast that's actually in person, maybe in like another week or two or something like that. A couple weeks down the road or something. Maybe you could fucking do yours, right?
Yeah.
Yours.
Let's do it, man. Hey, you'll be my first guest, dude. Might as well, man. You're the inspiration, dude. That's what I'm gonna do. First
there
guest.
You go, man.
Let's go.
Fucking right. I love it. Cool, man.
I like it.
Well, let's me and you hang tight on here for a second, but I'm gonna go ahead and hit the button here. So bye everybody. Say bye to Nathan.
Just you white in me again. Just you white. You'll be sorry that your tears will be too light. Just you white in me again. Just you white. You'll be sorry